Big Mom's house. Big Mama's house. Welcome to Big Mama's house. Big Mama's house. Yeah. Big Mama's house. Welcome to Big Mama's house. Big Mama's house. Yeah.
Welcome back to Big Mama's house, y'all. It is I, Mama, and I am here once again to talk about the Sister Wives book called Becoming Sister Wives, The Story of an Unconventional Marriage. Now, I know this book came out about a decade ago, but it is so relevant to what's going on in the last year or two with the wives and Cody. And I just think it makes some of the stuff is making so much more sense once we know what caused it all. So let's jump in. Oops, hang on, guys. My little guy's wheezing. Hang on. Sorry about that, guys. That's what happens when Rascal gets that wheezy thing we were talking about on one of the shows before. But anyway, sorry. Let's jump in. Chapter 8, Robin. Now, this chapter you would think would be much, much shorter than the others because theirs spanned, 15, 20 years, and Robin's is only like a year or two, maybe. But as always, she's got lots and lots to say. And, yeah, here we go. She says, when Cody and I got engaged, we didn't have enough money to get married or to help me move from southern Utah to Lehi. I stayed put in St. George. Polygamous weddings are humble. Cody swore that when he and I married, it was going to be a big deal. Now, everyone else had the humble wedding. Everyone else. Most of them didn't even get much of a honeymoon, except for a drive to wherever, which, whatever, but not exactly romance. And as Christine was very famously recently said, Robin never lived polygamy because she got a big wedding that no other polygamous wives get. And she claims that it's all what Cody wants. But let's be real. Yes, she treats him like her best customer. Yes, she, especially in the beginning, kind of let him have his way because, he's the meal ticket. Um, but you can't tell me that she didn't have some input and say because we've heard about some of the extremely extravagant things that she chose for her wedding. Let's see what else. She says, I didn't want to come storming in with a huge party and make myself the center of attention. But it was not entirely due to financial constraints that we were forced to put off our wedding. I was hoping that we could find a way to be married by December at the latest, after they got engaged in, I believe, September. She says, my future sister wives were unhappy with this plan because, of course, that's Christmas and New Year's and birthdays and maybe anniversaries, and you can't just, you have to make it a collusion in a polygamous family, not just say, this is when I want my wedding. So, she said, while Cody and I figured out the best and earliest possible date for our wedding, the television show that he'd been discussing since we got engaged went from a dream to a reality. Now, was it only something that started happening or becoming, looked into once they got engaged? Or did he just not tell her about it until they got engaged? Because there's a big difference there. And which one happened first? I need to know that, y'all. Does anybody know? Um, I need to know. That's crazy. TLC was going to help us pay for our wedding. Having a big ceremony meant the world took Cody, so I consented. Um, I don't know if that's all entirely true. Let's just see. Cody convinced the production team to begin the show with the core family and then introduced my story. This meant once again pushing back my wedding. Now my courtship would be extremely drawn out, and not only that, it would be filmed, something I'd never anticipated. Um, well, you knew it was going to be filmed because they were going to pay for it. So, what? And I just um the story before this was that the production people wanted to make their wedding the first episode, and I don't know why they would do that, because why would anybody film a wedding that the people nobody knows? You know what I mean? It didn't make any sense. You would have to introduce everyone and explain the situation before you just, oh, and they're getting married again. Here you go. That didn't make any sense. But the whole point was that they made a big deal to put everyone first and to not make them the stars of the show. Again, if you work or know anyone at TLC at this time who knows if that's the truth or not, I would love to know, because this whole part makes no sense. She says, I was aware that since TLC had become involved, the wedding was going to be a much larger event than I was comfortable with. Now, you already know that Cody wanted the big wedding, but you couldn't afford it. So the production people are going to pay for it, but now you're uncomfortable with it. But I know you got comfortable with it real quick because of some of the stuff that was very extravagant that you had for your wedding. She says, well, I was beginning to plan the wedding. Cody made a large commission on a sign he'd been trying to sell for ages, because he sold advertising for billboards. And she says, we use this money and my tax return to help me and my kids move into my own apartment in Lehigh. Now, I know for a fact, when you got 3 kids and you're a single mother and you have no income, you're looking at a minimum of like $6, $7, maybe $8,000 in a tax refund, plus however much this large commission he made was. Why does it cost that much to move? Like, I I don't understand it. It's crazy. Is that true though? In Utah, does it cost that much to rent a little apartment and pack up a U-Haul and move? I don't. Maybe. Let me know. She says, of course, I would have been nice. It would have been nicer for me to have been able to have a place either in or near the big house, not in one of the other wives' apartments, but my own. Because, Janelle had been kind and open-hearted and offered to share her space with them so they could live in the big house. But, that would be awkward, and she refused. And she said, this would have made me feel integrated into the family instead of feeling like an outsider. That is the theme of her entire rhetoric. She feels like an outsider. And that's never changed in all these years. And she has instilled that into her children and now into Cody. If you watch the latest episodes, yeah, it's that victim mentality. Everyone's mean to me. Nobody likes me. Everybody leaves me out. Nobody respects me. Yeah, it's crazy. She says, later on in the show, Cody revealed to everyone that he was with me when I found my wedding dress. I don't think he meant to cause any hurt feelings, but the damage was done. Well, we saw that in an episode, right? How Cody's like, oh, and I have a secret. And he reveals that despite Robin having gone wedding dress shopping with her sister wives and not finding something she liked, Cody shows up and decides he likes one, and of course that's the one that she loves. So he was there and helped her pick out her wedding dress, and even though tradition says he's not supposed to see the bride before the wedding in her dress, or even see the dress. So, she says, Janelle and Mary felt that I had pretended to want them involved in picking out my dress, and then behind their backs had Cody help me instead. Christine's struggle was that Cody hadn't helped her pick out hers. Well, again, I think that would be strange for anybody, because, again, you're already getting different treatment, special treatment, more time and attention, more thoughtfulness. And yes, part of that is because they trained him to be better in like the last 16 years. But also part of it is because he just cares more about you and your feelings and, making you feel good. I think that's pretty evident throughout the show. She says, Mary wanted to use the wedding as an opportunity for everyone to get family pictures done. So she had a second dress made to match my sister wives. Again, with the extravagance. Why not just go buy one? Okay? Go buy a nice dress just for a picture, right? But she had to have one made. And it's just, she doesn't understand the different extravagances that she uses. And she said she had a big wedding followed by a long honeymoon. And again, 10 days away. Um, yes, that sounds great because you need to get to know each other alone without kids and wives and everybody around. Um, I get that. But nobody else got to go on a really adventurous um, honeymoon away. Like, um, where on earth did they go? I forgot. But I know it was like somewhere like Caribbean, I think, or Mexico, somewhere far away, not just a road trip to Daddy's Ranch or to a mountain or whatever. It is much more extravagant and much longer and much more special in, everyone's opinion. And she says, I understand now that my long honeymoon was somewhat hurtful to my sister wives who didn't have comparable experiences. I made sure Cody called all of them several times during our 10 days away. Okay, she understands now that the long honeymoon was hurtful. And she made sure Cody called because, he couldn't be cared less because he was all about getting some of that big old Robin best customer service. And putting this in again in black and white, and the words you use, they matter and they reveal intent. And I think that is just crappy. Just my opinion. She says, like many women who embrace plural marriage, I had an overly idealistic notion of how simple it would be to develop healthy and stable relationships with my sister wives. Well, that's the quorum. The entire group, everybody agrees it's not as awesome as I thought it was going to be. She said, Mary and I started out with a really great relationship when I started courting Cody. She wasn't just looking for a sister wife, she was looking for a best friend. Things seemed pretty good with Janelle and Christine as well. As the courtship progressed, Mary's and my relationship struggled. I knew Christine and Janelle were struggling too, but again, I thought it would all just get better once we got married. And so, again, she knew in the midst of it that they were struggling, and that is a normal reaction, and it's okay to be human and to feel those emotions, and making them bury them down or making them feel bad or wrong for having these feelings is gross. Okay, that's just, it's wrong. And maybe that's why they were so, stunted emotionally for so long. Um, and by the way, in this page, a couple pages here, she says my honeymoon like 47 times. Okay, my honeymoon, this, my honeymoon, that. They think this about my honeymoon. And again, it feels like the rubbing it in. It feels that way. And I'm trying really hard to not be biased. So anybody else feel differently, please give me some perspective. She says again, when I returned from my honeymoon, I was shocked to discover how much my sister wives were struggling. Really? Shocked? You already knew they were struggling. Like, come on, man. Someone who was your best buddy turned into like not so cool and frosty. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, okay. All my naive expectations that we would be best friends flew out the window. Well, she's not the only one. They all felt that way at some point or another. And like, yeah, just have a little compassion and humility and just be patient. She said, Mary, with whom I'd once had a wonderful friendship, and I struggled a lot. She felt that anything bad going on between Cody and her was somehow my fault. Well, again, remember, she and Cody's relationship were at rock bottom when he started courting Robin, remember? So, I mean, obviously, in the few months since this has passed and they got married, that doesn't, it only makes things worse. It causes more tension, more jealousy, more insecurity. And those are the things that he should have been addressing and, trying to reassure of. Instead, he just got all about Robin and got very, very, he had no time or patience for anyone else's emotions. Um, she said, I really didn't anticipate how much my sister wives would struggle with me coming into the family. I was unprepared for the fact that they believed I was the source of their pain. Of course, it wasn't really you, it was Cody. Cody was the source of the pain. But of course, nobody can blame Cody because, you know, he's got like a get out of jail free card. He's exempt from all responsibility. And I don't know why she says that this is her second marriage. She was gonna, make sure everything was good before she, whatever. But no, like, she even had extra time in the courtship and the engagement, and she didn't like inquire with anybody like, hey man, this is my first experience with polygamy. I'm coming in this family with my children. What can I expect? Nothing, none of that. When she was so careful and so cautious. Okay. She said, there's a strange phenomenon that happens in our lifestyle. When you are struggling with jealousy and insecurities, you manage to transform your sister wife into some sort of monster. You begin to believe that your sister wife harbors you ill will or intentionally means to harm you. And from this paranoid perspective, real problems begin to arise. Well, guess what? Okay, they may have been struggling with jealousy and insecurity, but you are the paranoid one, Robin. You are always saying that you're the odd man out and that you were never accepted and everybody was against you and all this stuff, and they mean to your kids and all this. No, you create the issues. Your paranoia about everything outside of what you can control is ridiculous. And it's I think you're talking about yourself in this paragraph here, and I hope you've had help over the years for this because it's very gaslighting and it's wrong. It's indoctrination is what it feels like. And then she goes on to say, eventually I discovered that some of my sister wives were often angry with me, not because of something I'd done, but because they felt like Cody loved me more than them, and this scared and threatened them. If Cody shows love to one person more than the other and wants and is joyful about spending time with one household more than the other, makes sure that one household is taken care of and has everything they need and is, the primary point of contact, then yeah, that is on Cody. Okay. And yeah, maybe they lashed out at the wrong person because that's the way they were taught. The issues in the marriage is never the husband's fault. It's the issues of the wives. And so they were scared and threatened because they saw the obvious favoritism. And I think it really makes her feel good because she keeps pointing it out. She really enjoys being number one and knowing that she's number one, but having to downplay it that she doesn't because, she wants to be likable. And she goes on, jealousy or insecurities, I feel these things myself, and I have to work on dealing with my own insecurities and jealousies and not blame my sister wives or Cody for them. Does she have jealousies? Insecurities I can maybe believe, but jealousy, I think she's always more than happy to get rid of Cody. I think she married someone she knew would be financially able to take care of her. She didn't want to have to work anymore. She wanted help her taking care of her kids. And she totally took advantage, in my opinion. She didn't care what he looked like. She didn't care if she was attracted to him. Because, she only's gonna have to be with him every, 4 or 5 days. So one night a week of, spreading it for somebody and pretending like he's your best customer, that's not so hard, you know? I mean, she's just a really high paid call girl in that instance, in my opinion. Because that's what she said that she was looking for. Couple pages, this is all more about me, 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 me. And she says, now I'm often asked to help mediate family talks. Yeah, you suck at it. The entire issue of marriages is that you still don't know how to communicate. Still. I mean, they may do it nicer when you're around, but yeah, there's no progress really been made in these people. I don't, especially not after this last season seeing it all. She says they have a saying, if you're not bleeding, don't tattle, meaning the Browns. She says for the most part, they leave their children to work out their own problems. If even the slightest disagreement arises, I want to get to the root of it. And it's her instinct to mediate, interfere. It is your instinct to interfere instead of letting young people figure out. I mean, again, unless you're bleeding or there's some major thing, kids would need to sort things out for themselves. You cannot always fix it for them. That creates adults who don't know how to problem solve or get along in society. Um, she says, for instance, I'm careful to group our youngest girls in a way that one of them doesn't get picked on by the others for some of her quirks. She tries to create an environment that is safe and protective for everyone. What kid? What quirks? Um, I'm pretty sure you're referring to one of your kids because I think you may be referring to Gwendolyn here, but let's be real, your kids were the weird ones, okay? Just saying. She says, at first the older kids and some of my sister wives thought I was babysitting my kids. And then it goes on about how she, is so awesome and emotionally intelligent and the best of everything. She says, when I first started courting Cody, my viewpoint gave him a new perspective on his family and some of his relationships. Well, that might be the most honest sentence this chick ever says, because I think she immediately started indoctrinating him, like about how Robin knows all, Robin can make it better, Robin is here for you, the only one who's loyal and who has your back. I think that started from the very first day that she met him. And she says, I love Mary so much. Mary is loyal, fun, and good. Janelle and I have found that we have many things in common. She has amazing talent. What do you have in common with Janelle? Really? Um, yeah. And she doesn't really mention Christine because obviously she and Christine had many issues because of the jealousy stuff and her postpartum depression at the time. And there was a lot going on, a lot in this family this time. She said, my sister wives already do so much for me that sometimes I feel lazy. I am not accustomed to having so much taken off my plate. And she said, I had been sick before Christmas and I had neglected to buy stocking stuffers for my own kids. They produced everything that I needed to fill my children's stockings. And that is, I think, kind of like a really good, like, what's the word? Conclusion, because yeah, she was like, this is what I wanted. I wanted to only have to have sex with this dude like once a week. I want someone to help me raise my kids and like just do stuff for me so that like I can just be the, professional mom I'm supposed to be. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, that is the end of section 2 of the book. The next part is part 3. It is the last part. It is pretty short. I'm going to try and combine a couple chapters in the each video to make them go a little faster and to make them, the right length. But the next part is called Family. There are so many things to talk about coming up. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. I hope it gives you maybe a little bit more insight and knowledge about maybe how these women and these people have got to where they are today and how much growing they have done. I think it's amazing and I hope they keep it up. And, I wish all of them all the best. And I wish all of you all the best as well. I hope you guys come back and see us again too again soon to finish up a Sister Wives book. And Papa says to buckle your seatbelts, use a turn signal, spay and neuter your pets, and please, everyone, be kind. Bye.